Good evening, everybody. We're going to call this meeting to order. The first item on our agenda is the invocation, which Councilmember Alshire will give for us, and that will be followed by the pledge to the flag. So please stand as you are able.
May we be thankful for the day that is given us, for its blessings, its opportunities, and its challenges. May we appreciate and use each day that comes to us. Pray for strength and guidance for each day as it comes, for each day's duties, for each day's problems. May we be challenged to give our best always and be assured of the presence within us.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Just a reminder, we are operating under the rules of procedure adopted September 24th, 2013. Use of cell phones during meetings is restricted. All correspondence for distribution to elected officials should be provided to the city clerk. It should include a copy for the clerk for inclusion in the official record. And just to review our meeting schedule for February, we have no meeting next Tuesday. We have a work session scheduled at 4 p.m. on the 9th, and again 4 p.m. on Tuesday the 16th. Our regular session will be on Tuesday the 23rd at 7 p.m. And at this point in our agenda, we have two appointments. I will entertain a motion to appoint James Stauffer to the Board of Zoning Appeals, his term to expire on January 31st, 2019. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, say no. The appointment is made. We also have an appointment, Mr. Michael Line for the Hagerstown Loan Review Authority, term to expire July 31st, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Wonderful. At this point, we have a presentation of some awards. This is our HIP Awards, High Performance Award, and I want to ask our Public Works employees, BJ Zirkle and Gary Seavolt, to come up and receive this award. Public Works employees BJ Zirkle and Gary Seavolt assisted with CPR on an employee at Culligan Water. The employees were returning to the shop when BJ noticed someone lying on the shop floor of Culligan, located at the intersection of Memorial and Maryland. They could see an older man lying on the floor inside the building who appeared to be in distress. They pulled into Culligan's to find the man not breathing, his color to be purpley blue, and his body stiff and motionless. I can't even imagine. Other Culligan employees were only feet away but hadn't noticed the man. BJ immediately called 911 while Gary administered CPR. HPD and emergency services arrived shortly thereafter. The HPD officer used a defibrillator until the ambulance arrived. Gary was able to get some circulation going and some color returned to the gentleman. Staff left the scene while emergency personnel continued to work on the man. And coincidentally, BJ had just completed CPR training on December 9th and Gary on December 2nd. So it just goes to show how important that training is. So gentlemen, as a token of our gratitude for your high performance, I have these certificates here for you. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. Would you like to get a picture with your family? Have your family come up? Come on up, guys. Before we have citizen comments tonight, I thought it would be appropriate for our Public Works Director to just brief us all on the ongoing efforts at snow removal and the operations of Public Works in the last few days. Mr. Dykey.
Good evening. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. Yeah, it's been a busy few days. We've been working pretty much around the clock since the storm began on Friday. But before I get into the update, I just want to say I can't thank management and staff enough. Every department has pitched in. We've had staff from water, wastewater, parks. Even had fire department personnel driving some trucks for me today. So I just can't thank them enough. They've done a tremendous job. Second, I'd like to thank the citizens of Hagerstown. They have been wonderful. You're always going to get some negative comments, but by far, the majority have been very understanding, very patient. We appreciate that. They've helped one another. I just can't thank them enough. They've been very good. So as far as an update, we've been been plowing snow, obviously, through the storm. We've been working on removing snow from a number of key areas around, especially the downtown. Monday night, we worked on removing snow from West Washington, and we're working our way to East Washington, probably down to Locust Street. Today, we worked on removing snow on a number of streets that are still closed. Tonight will be at George Street and Mechanic. Those two streets for sure. There might be one other we have to work on. We removed snow from part of South Prospect Street, basically from Washington up to the Dry Bridge. Tomorrow or tonight, I've got a crew starting in 2 hours, and we'll be in again, and we'll work finishing a little bit on East Washington, and then we'll move over to Franklin and work our way up here to Potomac, and then work our way down to the square, and as time allows, we'll work on some other places. Tomorrow, we'll go back at it again. Most of that crew tomorrow will be, again, from other departments, engineering, parks, wastewater, that sort of thing. And we'll work on probably some of the parking lots, Antietam Street, that sort of thing. Today also, we did Antietam Street between Potomac and Summit. We did the roadway behind there, which services BISPA, Maryland Theater, Courthouse, things like that, to make sure they all had access back in there. So that was finished this evening, about 6 o'clock, about an hour ago. So we're trying to figure out what the key areas are and that sort of thing. And so we'll keep going at each day and night, and probably by Friday morning, we'll probably have as much open as I think we're going to go. At that point, I think we're probably going to need a break for a few days. So.
Hopefully the weather will continue to get.
The weather's been great. I mean, it's yesterday and today, if you're out and about, it's very nice actually, and it's really helping a lot with the snow melting and stuff. Mm-hmm. And thanks to my administrator Valerie Means, and council members and mayor, State Highway actually came within the city limits and helped us out a little bit. They sent us a couple trucks the other evening and pushed back some snow and threw some salt down. So everybody's been very good at it. So,
well, I want to reiterate your thanks for Team Hagerstown, all the departments coming together and really working diligently as this historic, unprecedented number of inches of snow fell. And I agree that most people have been pretty patient and understanding and realizing it's going to take time to first clear the streets, work on the sidewalks and other public spaces and ways. And I just can't emphasize enough how important it is for people not to throw snow back into the street because that defeats the whole purpose of plowing the streets in the first place.
Yeah. It's tough on some streets. There's no question about it. I mean, you have a house, 4 feet of sidewalk on a street, and it is tough to put it. But, you know. I
will say I did see, as I walked clear across town to do some snow angeling, I saw lots of examples of neighbors working together, helping each other out, doing the right thing, checking on their neighbors, digging out fire hydrants. So I really think that was a testament to how the community came together. Right. Just like all the departments here at the city.
I agree. There were a couple of streets I went on today that it took us a while to get to them, and the people weren't upset. They were very appreciative. They were like, "We understand. Glad you're here." And I said, "We'll get you open and get you rolling here at any time." So, and again, I thank Mayor and Council for your support. You've all been very kind and generous with your comments and stuff. So I appreciate that. It's nice when somebody has your back. So.
Well, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do have one person signed up for citizen comments, and that is Ms. Dot Klein.
I still can't hear very well in this room.
We're working on that.
At the library, when you had the meeting, I could hear everybody except the gentleman in the brown suit, and it seemed like he talked very soft. So I don't know if people don't speak loud enough or what the problem is. But anyways, I saw in the paper where you had given the new administrator to be able to take one position and create two positions. You did that when Karen and Mayor Brucci was here. You raised Karen's salary from 40 to 88,000 plus benefits. Then a year later, you divided her duty, and you gave that person around 80,000 in benefits. And 4 months later, you hired a young girl to help the executives with their work. So altogether, you had over $200,000 with benefits, whereas you could have kept the position at 40,000, hired another one at 40,000 from Frostburg University or Shepherd College, and hired a secretary and had just a little bit over $100,000. It seems to me that you want everybody to have an executive salary. The second topic is the parking lot. I still am against building an office building on that parking lot, and I've already gotten on to 6 groups on Facebook, such as what's going on in Hagerstown. So I have about 5,000 people I'm going to start writing letters to. The meeting at the library was very interesting. I could hear most of the speakers. Anyhow, when we changed tables, I stayed where I was, and the people that came to my table, it seemed like on the path, they were throwing cards here and there and here and there. And I thought, they're not thinking, because when you start down the path, you decide what's here and what's going to fit on the path. And then on further down the path, you look and see what's on both sides of you before you put something there. You have to think about what you're going to put on the path, not just throw anything there. I don't think that money should be spent on building a path until you get Center City up and running. Center City is your problem, and we heard about it several months ago. For 25 years, nobody would say out loud or to the press, it's because of the homeless, the low, the poor income, and the immigrants. If you take a survey of who's downtown, I bet you will find that a lot of those people are from out of town. Because when I used to take real estate courses down the road, other real estate agents would mention to me about Washington County has all these good benefits, so we send them up the road. And also, the Virginia church that dropped those people off on Franklin Street years ago that couldn't speak English, and they just dropped them off there, they're still working, bringing refugees into the United States. They get paid $250 for each person, then they drop their group off, and they give a couple people a few $100s. Now, this is what I heard from a church lady. She told me that they came in recently, and the church ladies went to the church council and said that we couldn't handle anymore because we can't take care of the people we already have here. So the church left. And the other thing, I have seen on television in the past 2 years advertisements saying go to Washington County, and at the bottom of the screen it said paid for by, and I forget the name of the church, but it was a church that paid to tell people to come here. Okay. The other thing, I think we need a 24-hour reach program. I think the YMCA could be used. You'd have a computer room, you'd have a learning room, and you'd have a place where you could put people. Like the lady in Smithsburg that they found sleeping in her car, they were able to get enough money together and put her in a hotel for a while, but I don't know how long that's gonna last. To take care of this problem with the homeless, the poor, and all these people that are coming in to get our benefits, I'm sure with a project like that, you can get funding from the state government and the federal government. A year and a half ago, you had a city manager that has already left. I suggested at that time that you have a luncheon and invite every realtor from the Penmore Association. You have almost 200 with a RSVP to bring them to the luncheon, tell them what you're doing, ask them for their help. The real estate agents are one of the best resources that you have in Washington County, and you're not using them like you should. Back when I worked in the 70s and 80s, they came to town. They helped with the projects. You all haven't asked them to help. They've got investors, they've got developers. Why haven't you asked the realtors to work with you? I don't know. Thanks for listening to me.
Thanks for your thoughts. There's no one else that is signed up to speak at citizen comments. Is anyone desirous to speak? Hearing none? Oh, I'm sorry.
Am I allowed to speak?
Yeah, step up to the microphone and please state your name and address for the record, please.
Jason Physiok. I live around Potomac Street, right after the library.
Okay.
And my family's apartments do maintenance, and so maybe I'll stay there and maybe I don't. And I'm not really sure, but it's like 155 to 159, something in that range. This mic is on?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I've never been here. I feel like a foreigner.
Well, welcome. What would you like to share with us this evening?
Okay, well,
I did forget to remind folks, we are televising and recording these meetings, and we try to limit citizen comments to 5 minutes.
yeah, that's good to remind people. I've never been here. And I feel like a foreigner, but everything that one lady said,
Mm-hmm.
I see her points. And I was thinking that city council, I've never been here before, but I would like to schedule hosting so that issues could be talked about, like over lunch and things like this. So, well, my email address is jasonphysiok, that's PHYSIOC, @gmail.com. And all I have is a phone. I have no computer. I'm partially homeless. I don't know how to speak in front of a mic. I've never done this before, but, well, I had one suggestion that maybe people could consider, right? And maybe a Ray Get Rich office. Next time we see a storm coming, those bike lanes could be turned into ski lanes, and nobody has to sign a waiver. You know where you live, or
Okay.
you know where you're visiting, and you will never sue anyone because bike lanes were turned into ski lanes, and everyone respects that. But that's just a suggestion.
Thank you for sharing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night. All right, moving on to city administrator's comments.
Again, I just want to reiterate really what Eric said and the mayor, I have to commend and give special thanks to Public Works and other city departments, as well as county and state employees, just for the phenomenal job that has been done with this historic storm. I thought I moved to Maryland to have milder winters, so it's been a little bit of a shock to me. I've never seen that much snow, even in northern West Virginia. So, again, thanks to the citizens as well as business owners for being patient, and not only that, just dealing with their own snow removal and just trying to deal with over 30 inches that we received. So again, thanks to everyone for a job well done. That's all, Mayor.
Thanks. And I guess I'll just remind folks that trash and recycling
Oh,
is
thank you.
delayed for one day this week. So I guess starting this evening, trash and recycling will, pickup will resume. Now for mayor and council comments, I'll start on my left this evening and work our way over. Councilmember Nye?
No, I think Valerie had everything at point.
Great. Councilmember Munson?
No comments except to say Valerie did have it exactly right.
Mr. Messon? I concur. Mr. Brubaker?
Well, just wanted to say there's people that see the things that weren't perfect, things that were done that could have been done differently. Don't forget, this is an unprecedented storm. We don't have unlimited resources. We can't budget for 30-inch snowfalls. And that many of the folks working had been working for many, many hours, probably longer than they care to admit. And, I think we did very well considering the narrowness of many of our streets and the difficulties we encounter in the urban setting. So I thank people for their patience, and as you heard, crews are continuing to work, and let's get out of this together.
Thanks. Councilmember Alshire?
A couple of comments. The first is, I think that the last time I saw a storm like this in Hagerstown was '96. I spent 3 days at the Dollar Theater in Long Meadow. Folks probably remember eating nothing but Chinese food for 3 days. That's the only place that was open. I'm not sure that's much different than 5 days in an attic with kids, but I can understand how folks get a little stir crazy, and could certainly deal out accolades to all of staff that have been handling this. But I think, to say it this way, is the best. In the 4 days since the storm began, received 2 emails and 2 phone calls. And for a city of 40,000 people that's surrounded by another 20,000 who think they're city residents, that I think speaks volumes to what staff has accomplished in that time. So I think that's the best way to thank them. The second is, and Lou always tells me not to argue with an opponent who buys ink by the barrel, but I read I guess the Herald Mail's editorial today about the Suns in the city showing signs of civility. I mean, I don't think that hasn't occurred in recent times. Everything's a business of negotiation, but it says. One particular sentence I had an issue with, it said earlier in this decade, the city pulled the rug out from under the Suns, promising them a new downtown stadium and then failing to deliver. I would just remind the Herald Mail that this city isn't the folks sitting here, it's residents and citizens that vote. And those are the folks that largely make decisions of that magnitude for this community. So when they speak about the city, they're not speaking about the 6 members here, they're speaking about all of the citizens that they are a business to. And then the other thing, again, was the Herald. I've had this communication a number of times with them, but I know that we've recently reached out and had a conversation about every time you read an article of something occurring, involving public safety and police in particular, it'll simply list it as Hagerstown resident this and Hagerstown incident that. We had a conversation recently and they said, you know, if those agencies are using the, referring to the unincorporated areas doesn't pass the logic test, meaning that the mailing addresses, when it says Hagerstown, what's the point of looking beyond that? You know, I recently used the example, there was an article 2 weeks ago of a robbery that occurred on Fairview Road. And the Washington County Sheriff's Department was seeking citizens' help through such media outlets to assist in identifying any individuals that may have been involved in this incident. Any average person that Googles Fairview Road in Hagerstown will end up back on the northwest side of Pennsylvania Avenue in the northwest end of the city, back near Hyde Apartments. And I can assure you there's no country store back there. There is a country store out on Sear Falls Pike near a Fairview Road in Washington County that most of us know as Wilbur's, where the incident actually occurred. So I would only offer to the Herald Mail that when we ask for those things to occur, we don't do it simply because of a reflection of our perception, but we do it in part because it is important to convey that information to the community in an accurate fashion when you're asking for them to assist in those public safety incidents. And here's an example where that clearly didn't pass the logic test.
I have no further comments other than to echo all the thanks for the crews Team Hagerstown has put out and keep the city moving. With that, we'll move to the minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for the approval of minutes as presented with mayor and council meetings, excuse me, held on December 1st, 2015, December 8th, 2015, and December 15th, 2015.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Munson, seconded by Mr. Metzner. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries and the minutes are approved. Next up is the consent agenda.
Mayor, I move that all the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Motion made by Mr. Metzner, seconded by Ms. Nye. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries and the consent agenda is approved. Under unfinished business, we have the approval of an ordinance for the Crane Local Conversion Overlay.
Mayor, hereby move that the mayor and city council approve an ordinance for a local conversion district overlay, including the two conditions endorsed by the Planning Commission on property located at 702 West Washington Street. This ordinance was amended during its introduction by the mayor and city council to remove ambulatory health care as a permitted use for the property.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Brubaker, seconded by Mr. Munson. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries and the ordinance is approved. Under new business, we have item A, the introduction of an ordinance, the acceptance of an easement from Beazer Homes Corp.
Mr. Mayor, hereby move the introduction of an ordinance to approve and adopt a deed and declaration of easement from Beazer Homes Corp. that grants the city the right but not the obligation to enter an easement area at Collegiate Acres for inspection or maintenance activities.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Brubaker, seconded by Mr. Metzner. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The introduction of the ordinance is approved. Item B, the introduction of an ordinance adding Chapter 187 to the City Code nuisance and abandoned property abatement.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the mayor and city council introduce an ordinance to add Chapter 187, nuisance and abandoned property abatement, to the code of the city of Hagerstown. This chapter provides definitions for nuisance and abandoned properties and sets up procedures for the city of Hagerstown to follow in the effort to rehabilitate or eliminate nuisance properties and abandoned properties within the city. This amendment is intended to provide additional protections for our neighborhoods from blight and nuisance conditions.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Alshire, seconded by Mr. Munson. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The introduction of the ordinance is approved. Item C, the introduction of an ordinance amending Chapter 65 of the City Code, Property Maintenance Habitual Offender.
Mr. Mayor, have been moved that the mayor and city council introduce an ordinance to amend Chapter 65, Property Maintenance Habitual Offender of the City Code of the City of Hagerstown. This chapter will be renamed Habitual Offender and will be amended to apply to not only Chapter 64, Property Maintenance Code, but also Chapter 140, Land Management Code, Chapter 185, Nuisance Abatement, Chapter 197, Rental Facilities, Chapter 232, Vacant Non-Residential Structures, Chapter 233, Vacant Residential Structures. In addition, a definition of premises will be added to the chapter. These amendments are intended to provide additional protections for our neighborhoods from the nuisance actions and conditions.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Alshire, seconded by Mr. Brubaker. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries and the ordinance is introduced. Item D, the approval of a resolution, a memorandum of understanding with Way Station Turning Point.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for mayor and council approval of a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between the city of Hagerstown and the Way Station. This MOU would allow for a mobile crisis program staffed by an employee of Way Station who would respond to requests for emergency outreach from law enforcement. This will connect the person in crisis with a professional who will assist them in avoiding hospitalization and the need for future law enforcement contact.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Metzner, seconded by Ms. Nye. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries and the resolution is approved. Item E is the approval of a resolution, a lease with Spickler's Market.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for the approval of a resolution to authorize the execution and delivery of a lease between the City of Hagerstown and Spickler's Market for commercial space located at 17 East Franklin Street. All terms and conditions are outlined in the attached lease agreement.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Munson, seconded by Ms. Nye. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries and the resolution is approved. Item F, the approval of a resolution, a lease with the Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Mayor, I hereby move for the approval of a resolution to authorize the execution and delivery of a lease between the City of Hagerstown and the Hagerstown, Washington County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Visitor Center for commercial space located at 6 North Potomac Street. All terms and conditions are outlined in the attached lease agreement.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Brubaker, seconded by Mr. Munson. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Resolution is approved. Item G is the approval of a resolution, the acceptance of street dedications from Beazer.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for the approval of a resolution to accept the offer of dedication from Beezer Homes Corporation for Yellow Jacket Road, Cavalier Court, Demon Deacon Court, Hurricane Court, and a portion of Nittany Lion Circle in the Collegiate Acres development.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Metzner, seconded by Mr. Munson. Any discussion?
Well, yeah, did anyone follow up and see if the developer wants to change the name to Big Ten nicknames?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, well, I'll vote for it anyhow.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries and the resolution is approved. Item H,
I just would note that I think the developer, when I look at the map, has made some changes. We have a Hoosier Court, Buckeye Court, so.
Okay,
we're-
moving that
we're
direction.
moving in that direction.
Branch
Yeah.
cul-de-sacs, yeah.
Item H is the approval of a resolution for a license agreement with 920 West Washington Street.
Hereby move for approval of where are we?
No, our packets aren't.
Item H,
All right,
Tenable Group LLC.
Okay.
Tenable Group.
Hereby move for approval of a resolution that authorizes the execution of a license agreement between the City of Hagerstown and Tenable Group LLC for the installation of fencing in the rights-of-way of Devonshire Road, West Washington Street, and Wakefield Road. This approval shall be contingent upon Tenable Group LLC obtaining necessary approvals from the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Planning Commission.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Brubaker, seconded by Mr. Metzner. Any discussion?
I believe the Planning Commission has discussed this quite a bit, so it's been worked over.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Resolution is approved. Item I is related to Catalyst Project Number 8, the authorization for one additional full-time position to support neighborhoods through abatement of weeds and rubbish.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for the mayor and council to approve the addition of one full-time public works maintenance worker position. This position is necessary to support our neighborhoods through the abatement of weeds and rubbish violations. Funding for this position would be covered by the funds that would have otherwise been budgeted by the Planning and Code Administration Department for private contracting services. This action is consistent with the city's vision and commitment to housing, neighborhoods, and the community city center plan.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Alshire, seconded by Ms. Nye. I'll just note that one of the reasons why we're taking this action is because the contractor was not responding to our requests for abatement in the timely manner in which we would expect. And so we hope to address concerns coming up related to weeds and rubbish in a more timely manner through this hire. Any other discussion?
Yes, I want to make sure, my recommendation is that we thoroughly document our actions, take pictures. It's very simple these days to take a digital picture before we clean up an area. Liens should be filed. It's so easy to let that go and then not happen against the properties. We really need a consistent thing. And even if it's 2 or 3 years from now, when that property's sold or a transaction takes place, we can recover our funds. But you need to document it too,
Yes.
or there'll be a lot of denials that the
Right.
city came out unnecessarily.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion is approved. Item J is the acceptance of wastewater division request for grant funding through MDE for I&I remediation.
Mayor, I hereby move that the mayor and city council approve the request to allow city staff to move forward with the process required to secure grant funding for inflow and infiltration remediation through the Maryland Department of the Environment in the amount of $300,000.
Second?
Motion made by Mr. Munson, seconded by Mr. Brubaker. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Item K is the authorization to apply for state grant for the George Washington statue.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move the mayor and city council authorize staff to apply to the Maryland Heritage Area Program for $30,950 grant to match funds in hand for the proposed George Washington statue project downtown. Prior committed funds include a grant from the Sons of the American Revolution and contributions from Washington County and the city of Hagerstown.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Metzger, seconded by Mr. Munson. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries and authorization is approved. Item L is the approval of a memorandum of understanding with Washington County Narcotics Task Force.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for mayor and council approval of a memorandum of understanding with the Washington County Narcotics Task Force. The Washington County Narcotics Task Force provides investigative services to the city of Hagerstown in Washington County. These investigations are in the area of illegal drug dealing, trafficking, and gang-related crimes. As part of the memorandum of understanding, the Hagerstown Police Department assigns 1 sergeant and 4 officers to investigate group as staffing allows investigating cases both in the city and county. The county provides for the same number of officers along with an intelligence analyst and 3 office associates. The Narcotics Task Force is required to update their MOU every few years. This is the revised MOU. It is consistent with our current practices in the area and has further been reviewed by the city attorney, Mr. Boyer, who is satisfied with the agreement.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Nye, seconded by Mr. Munson. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The agreement is approved. Item M is the approval of a purchase of fire gear from Whitmer Public Safety Group.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for mayor and council approval of the purchase of protective fire gear for firefighters from Woodward Public Safety Group in Williamsport, Maryland for $138,581.40. Funding is from the Federal Emergency Management Administration grant that was awarded to the Hagerstown Fire Department in the amount of $153,637.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Metzner, seconded by Ms. Nye. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Purchase is approved. Item N is the approval of the Hagerstown Suns fireworks schedule for 2016.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move the mayor and council approve 8 fireworks shows after the Hagerstown Suns baseball games during the 2016 season. And the mayor and council's approval will exempt these 8 shows from the city of Hagerstown's noise ordinance under section 155-5 of the code of the city of Hagerstown.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Metzner, seconded by Mr. Brubaker. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Fireworks are approved. Last but not least, the approval of funding of the Community Coalition Lobbyists.
Mayor, hereby move for mayor and council authorization of the expenditure of $5,000 from the general fund in order to contribute toward hiring John Favazza with the firm of Manis, Canning and Associates as the Community Coalition Lobbyist. Other partners include the Chamber of Commerce, Chief, the Greater Hagerstown Committee, Convention and Visitors Bureau, Washington County Public Schools, and the Washington County Free Library.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Brubaker, seconded by Mr. Munson. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries, funding is approved, and we are adjourned. Thank you very much.